Alright, so I hope everyone is experiencing the joy and happiness that Holo Purple Gojo brought us. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is going over his kit, going over the best recollection bits, and then also going over the teams that you could run him on. There's of course more options for teams. You could switch stuff around, and for that stuff, you could always ask for questions in my Discord down below or in the wiki Discord, either or, but I have a specified Discord channel and I'll always ping you guys for whenever we get exciting, amazing, and definitely hype, super hype and not controversial news for JJK fan Para. So Holo Purple Gojo is a green unit. Okay, he is of green typing, and that is really good because as of right now, there's not really a green attacker we could say, a green DPS unit that is actually really that good. But obviously very soon, well soon, maybe in the next month and a half, we're going to be getting the free-to-play green Mahito, and I think that's something you should be saving all of your tokens for, the phantom medals, because then you're going to be able to maybe dupe them out even once, maybe, you don't know. So why people want Gojo is because he's going to be good in tower to help you clear like 4 of the floors. But I'd say if that's the only reason you want him and not because you want another Gojo and you don't want Holo Purple, then I would probably wait for Mahito. Just going to put that in there at the start. So let's go over what he does. Skill 1, very simple. Okay, we're going back to the wiki. Okay, so his skill 1 is going to be decreasing the enemy's taijutsu and jujutsu. So this is going to be a nice little debuff. I like that they at least made this Gojo a bit of a debuffer. And he's going to be able to do taijutsu with a great chance to crit, which this one is able to do pretty good damage. Like for a skill 1, this is a pretty nice multiplier. But the thing is, it also doesn't really matter because no matter what, he has basically infinite cursed energy for the most part, as he's never going to run out. It's always one cost here. So this is going to be a 30% damage increase on the enemy, 70% damage increase on you, and then you're going to be able to increase the selected enemy's damage by 10%, which is bad for you, right? It makes them do 10%, but you also increase the damage they take. So how this works, how you could make this work, is you could only use this once. You could only use this once and then you could ult. Keep that in mind, right? You could only use it once because then the second time you attack after this, the first buff goes away, right? So basically, you can't stack 2 buffs. You have to use one and then go right into basically your other attack that you want to do. Keep that in mind. Now, the skill 3 is Break. Now, you know my thoughts on Break. I mentioned this a lot, but just having this on Toji is really good. So this is actually very nice. Now, Jujutsu damage, cool, not really much to say there. And then also decreases the enemy's damage by 15%. So like having debuffs on all 3 of his skills is a nice little addition. Now his ult is a 2000% multiplier, which is double Blue Gojo's, which puts this well above Blue Gojo's, considering he's also going to have this. Now this part I forgot to mention, but this part's going to be good so that you could target on the boss, while with the ult, you just are going to kill the little mini mobs anyway, and then with this it's going to let you do more damage on the actual boss. Now he also decreases all enemies ultimate gauge count, which is really good for tower, very good utility, and then he leaves the field. So why is this leaving the field? Fine, because you're using this last turn anyway, and he lasts 7 turns like Blue Gojo. So if that's a turn off, maybe don't summon. You know, I'm using this a bit as like a kind of thing, like to tell you maybe do summon, maybe don't, you know, really is up to you, all things considered. But still, he leaves after 7 turns no matter what, so keep that in mind. You're basically always using this on the last turn. And besides that, when you perform a Black Flash, you also get increased crit rate, which is another pretty cool thing to keep in mind. So in general, Gojo is very good. Damage-wise, his ult is going to be a nuclear bomb because it is double. It is an extra 1000% on this ultimate essentially compared to Blue Gojo, which makes it extremely strong. And it's why this guy's even in like the discussion for being good, but it's also because he's green. That's the main reason. Also because he's green. There is a need for green units, as right now the only main SSRs that we have for attackers are Nanami and Itadori, and they're not exactly that good. So we do need someone good to help us clear tower, where for yellow, whoa, what the hell is this Dokkan OST? Oh my god, I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna let it play. Okay, it's fire. So yeah, anyway, the quality sounds bad. Anyway, let me go back. So we do need to just kind of keep in mind that all the other colors have like a really good unit. Blue Gojo, yellow Megumi, and then red Yuta, right? So having this for green is definitely needed. Now then, let's talk about some that you should be using. So number one, the one that you should be using is this one. This one works very well, very simple, and it also gives alt gauge, which if you need to use it early on, then I guess that's fine. But it's mainly because of how big of a damage increase it gives there and how much curse technique it gives at max dupe. Like, look at that shit. Like, that is a lot, right? How much? Like, bro, 50% is just huge. Now, besides that, just to get good damage, you could use at all time while being able to increase all allies' crit rate, which could also help you. Now, there is also the one you could get from Ghetto's banner if for some reason you did get it. This one on top, I think we could check it here. This one is a 2-turn curse energy buff while being able to give even more. Or, yeah, 1 turn, sorry. And then it also gives cursed energy, which doesn't really matter. You could also, I think this is, you could also use this one, okay? While giving alt gauge fill rate, which doesn't really matter, but this part is also good. So either of those two, and then also you could also use this one, the girls one, as it gives the curse technique for 2 turns, which could also be pretty big. You use it the turn before and then on the alt, right? It does work. Now, besides that, Pride is another one to consider using. All right, Pride is going to be giving the Jujutsu, and then afterwards also giving the damage increase. But this is not going to actually, sorry, this is not going to apply at all, but it's just an option if you need it. And then finally, of course, the one I've been repping since day one, this one, for free-to-plays, obviously, where it gives a damage dealt increase 65%, and you can use that on the alt for free. So all of these are basically the main ones you're going to be using to nuke. The 2 on the Ghetto banner, anything that gives curse technique increase or damage increase in general are the 2 that you are going to be using. So let's just talk about a bunch of teams that you could run. Now, please do not mind the recollection bits. Just put what you think you could run. Okay, I didn't really set all of them with the recollection bits that they should take, right? So keep that in mind. But this team essentially, I should probably change the order though, like this, is basically going to be just full on debuff where you're trying to just nuke the boss. So damage increase from both the Yaga and Nanami, and then Degumi is going to be able with his ult to put damage increases on the main mob, and then Gojo is going to completely wipe them. Now, Yuta's there for when Gojo leaves, so then afterwards you could kind of be self-sustained, where you, Degumi in his ult is not going to take damage, and then Yuta is going to be able to heal in the hopes that the whole team is alive, which is not going to be the case, right? So keep that in mind, but it really just isn't going to be the case usually. But I think this team could work. Now, Yuta could also be another supporter. Keep that in mind. Now, this team is very similar. Basically, instead of Degumi, it's Yuta, which a lot of people are going to have, just for those 3 to stay alive, and then Gojo kind of goes crazy. The problem is right now, there's not really many mono teams, so it's really just kind of putting mishmashing together. Obviously, you can't use Blue Gojo, but this is another one. And then I put Inumaki in the back. You could also put Kaido if you would like. Now, this one is the mono green team, so you could technically put Nanami if you have SSR in Nanami, but then you would have to have for here, what you could put is Inumaki, or you could put Yuta if you want, or you could put Kaido, right? So let's say you put Kaido, then here you could put Nanami if you so wish, but I put Itadori for this one, and then obviously, like I said, the recollection bits are not what they should be, so you would put Taijutsu on Itadori, and you would be fine for the most part, okay? So yeah, in the back, it doesn't really matter who it is. I would personally recommend another support. So if you want to put, for example, Inumaki there, or I would obviously put Nanami, but he's better off in the front. But yeah, basically just going off double DPS mono green, and that's how you could definitely do it. It would definitely work, right? Nothing hurts about that at all. Now there's also this one, which is basically what this is like completely sustaining and just doing a bunch of damage with Gojo's ult. Like, this is the nuking ult team, as Kaido is going to be giving to make sure that the stacks stay up and that Gojo does damage the whole time, because he gives cursed energy a bunch, and then Kaido's ult gives a 100% damage, 125% damage increase Jujutsu. So then Gojo's ult alongside Nanami and Yaga is going to become a absolute behemoth. And then when Gojo leaves, you could have any DPS you want. You could, obviously you should kill, but if you don't, you could put Degumi, you could put Nobar. Just any DPS really works for that last slot, in my opinion. And that's basically it for like the main teams. Okay, there's not really many more teams. Obviously, you could go for different variations, but at that point, it becomes a difference of literally like 1 unit, okay? So it just isn't worth it, okay? In terms of attackers, or yeah, basically all it could be, like in any of the attacker slots, you could do Yuta, you could have Degumi, okay, you could have Nobara, you could have Nanami, Itadori, and then obviously the ready Itadori, which I did not summon on, okay? As for supporters, it really also does include the new SSR Momo, but still I don't really believe it's going to be, you know, that needed anyway. So you could also, another thing to mention is that if you really don't have, you need a mono green, for example, well, you could also put Mechamaru, right? You could put Mechamaru and try and survive off of that. So there's not really like many teams. I mean, Gojo's basically just built around support and then nuke. That's basically how he's built around for now until future mono green units show up. That's going to be pretty much how it is. So that's essentially it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have an amazing morning, day, or night, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope this video was helpful. Bye-bye.